now, more than 500,000 people under the age of 18 are in foster care, a system set up by the state to temporarily take care of children when their parents or other guardians are unable to do so. Today, part one of a two-part series on foster care, why the system was created and how it works.
Child Abuse Hotline.
A case usually comes to the attention of authorities through calls to hotlines like this one. Typically, these calls are made by a concerned relative, neighbor, or even the police who suspect a child has been abandoned or abused.
Remember when we talked about sometimes when things happen at home, sometimes kids have to go live someplace else for a while? Yeah, okay. Well, that's what's going to happen now.
Most of these children end up in the foster care system, a program controlled by state and federal laws to house and protect children from mistreatment in their homes.
What would you like to do?
Go back home.
I know.
My father was an alcoholic and my mother a drug addict. My mother and father were fighting, and my mother called the police on my father, expecting the police to take him away, when in fact they've seen that, we were dirty and I was running around without any underwears, any shoes. They called the children's services on her because, they just right away, they said we're in immediate danger. We went to the police station and they had toys and stuff there for us. They had a doctor see us, make sure we didn't have any bruises or anything going into the foster home. I'm walking into this lady's house with no shoes and no underwear, and I felt like I want to excuse myself. I should have an explanation.
My mother, she substance abuse, and her boyfriend, he sold drugs and used drugs also. One day he was beating me and my brother and my sister, and he did that often. So this time my mother decided to call police. They took us away.
When a child is removed from his or her home, a social worker is assigned to supervise the case. Their first concern is the immediate protection of that child.
Good morning.
Once the child has entered the system, a juvenile court judge oversees the case, working with the families and social workers to figure out a more permanent solution.
We understand that there are some hard feelings right now. We hope we can work through those feelings. We have hearings very soon after the child's been removed, within 48 hours. In the greatest majority of cases, the best answer is the family, reorganizing the family. Except in extreme situations, we believe that parents have the right to show that they can improve themselves so that the child can safely live in that family situation.
Started the referral process for counseling for the entire family.
Unfortunately, some children cannot safely remain with their parents ever.
Your Honor, at this point in time, does not feel like she would like to have any contact with her parents.
In that small percentage of cases, that child deserves to have a permanent home. Should I find those petitions to be true, it would give me the power to decide where is going to live, perhaps until she's 18 or otherwise emancipated.
Federal law requires the court to make a determination about each case within 18 months. Will the child return home, be put up for adoption, or remain in long-term foster care?
A lot of kids stay in foster care for a lot longer than 18 months. In LA County alone, there's 50,000 youth in foster care. It's an enormous amount of kids just in one county.
Sometimes it's the court's fault, because sometimes the court has not freed them from their parents' rights, and so they're not adoptable until they are freed children. Well, that's a court problem, but there are also thousands of children whose parental rights have been terminated, but they haven't gotten to an adoptive home. These kids wait, and sadly they wait for years, not months.
I think I've stayed in about 4 group homes and about 12, 13 foster homes.
Sometimes a kid gets into one home and right away it's not a good match. So they got to move to that next home. And then that adds to maybe their distrust.
You don't want anybody to get close to you because you fear that they're going to turn around and have you replaced somewhere.
A lot of the kids in the foster care system, they tend to be in group homes. Group homes provide a service in society that a lot of people are not providing. But at the same time, group homes are very institutional.
The bathroom has 2 showers and 2 toilets. You have to put your sheets in the hallway so they could be put up front. Put your roommate up. This is the laundry room. This is my room, right here. It has a bathroom. This is the highest level that you could be on. I have everything, TV and everything, because of I save my allowance to get those things. You have levels 1 through 4, and 1 being the highest, 4 being the lowest. The difference between the levels is like the behavior. Level 1, you watch less, and level 4, you watch constantly.
We had a situation today where dorm captain was requesting a chore to be done, and it ended up in almost a physical thing. You know.
He said that I was trying to make him. I wasn't trying to make him do nothing. I just asked him simply, you want to get a bonus?
You ask the man to do the chore. If he don't want to do the chore, then you come tell the staff, hey, I gave so-and-so the chore. He refused to do it. Then he don't get no points. See you tomorrow.
When the kids at school find out you're in a group home, they kind of like, oh, you're in a group home, what did you do? Like, say you wanted a girlfriend, and you wouldn't want to tell that girl that you stay in a group home because she might look at you like you're abnormal, like something's wrong with you.
Deanna is 19 and has been living with her foster mother, Janice, most of her life. A social worker brought her here when she was 8 in an attempt to protect her from an abusive childhood.
My father wasn't around. My mom was in and out of jail a lot. She was a real drug addict. She was real young when she had me.
When Children's Bureau called and said that they had this little girl that they needed to place, I said, okay, and they brought her. I think it took a while for her to trust me. And when I would say something to her, it was almost like she would test me to see if I would follow through or I would do what I would say.
A lot of kids, when they first come into the system, they are numb, you know, and they also are very distant. They do not trust adults.
My sister's father molested me for 5 years. My mom walked in one time and just walked out of the room. You know, she saw and just let it go.
People just really don't understand what these kids have been through. I mean, their whole life was ripped apart, not because of anything they did. And here they're asked to go into a new setting, to a family, and, you know, just fit right in. The system makes decisions, the parents make decisions, and the kids are like ping pong balls. When I agreed to become a foster parent, I specifically asked for long term. I didn't want to be a revolving door because they have those kind of short term, they call them short term foster parents, where you get a call in the middle of the night and you might have the child there for anywhere from a day to a month. You know, and I didn't want that. I wanted to help somebody.
By law, social workers must closely monitor what goes on in the home to ensure that the child is protected and cared for.
I've been working with Deanna for about 3 years. Before me, she had one other social worker. I'm replacing that person who, over a long period of time, she had developed ultimate trust in. And now all of a sudden, he's gone. I'm in, you know, I'm the pinch hitter. She was very distrustful. I feel like you have you know, really been opening up much more so to me, especially lately, you know, and we've been talking more.
Yeah, well, also in a sense, back then, I couldn't talk about it because it was so painful then. And I'm just now getting over it, and okay, I could talk about it and not cry, and so I'm pretty much past my mom. Dealing with my dad's a whole other story.
As a foster parent, you don't have the answers to the questions these kids ask. Like, why didn't my mother want me? Why didn't my father want me? You don't have the answers. You can say, well, they had problems or they had situations, you know. Are you okay? Don't start crying, because now I can't look at you and I'll start crying. See? All I know is that as a foster parent, you just are there for the child. You know, you're there to help them through the good times, the bad times, and to just be there for her. And that's what I've tried to do with Deanna.
The world after foster care is often very scary. There's a lot of youth that really panic, and rightfully so, because you know it is a cruel world in many ways out there.
Like most kids, they turn 18. That's it. You're emancipated. You got to move on your own. You got to find somewhere to live. And if you don't have nowhere to live, then you're out of luck. You got to do something. Holidays are just holidays. They're not special to me. What is a special holiday if all I feel is misery? In my mind, I struggle to become a young man. Since painful days as a child, I'm asking, when will I have a chance? For peace is all that my heart demands. But in a space alone, my soul still wonders, would I dance to the songs of my special holiday? That's a little poetry that I did at school for the holidays. What's up, Nunny?
I don't believe there is a way to measure the cost to a child who's been removed from his or her home. So of course we need services and social workers and courts, but all of that is kind of a periphery to the core issue. How can we keep children safe? How can we keep families together? And if we can't keep the families together, how can we find a permanent home for that child?
And I don't think she'll ever know how much she's made me grow up and what, you know, what she's put back into me that I thought I'd never have, you know. I mean, everything I've been through is definitely worth, I guess, waiting for in terms of what she's given me, you know, inside the love and the support. It's better than any of them could have done, you know.